Want to make your brand great again? Or simply make your brand? Go check out our sponsor, SpotlightDesign.com now. That's SpotlightDesign.com now.
Welcome to the CHYE K-Factor podcast with your host, Rabbi Yehoshua Wordy, director of CHYE. Each week, we bring you interviews with amazing Jewish entrepreneurs sharing their challenges and successes. Their stories will inspire you to make the Keli to take your business aspirations to the next level. For our inaugural session, I could think of no better entrepreneur to interview than our very own Yossi Apfelbaum. Joe Apfelbaum is the CEO of Ajax Union, a B2B digital marketing agency located in Brooklyn, New York. In addition, Yossi was a founding board member at CHYE. He is one of our most popular mentors and guest lecturers. Yossi, tell us a little bit about yourself and your company and what you do.
Awesome. Thank you so much for having me on this podcast. I'm really excited about seeing all the guests that are going to be on it. So this is a really exciting new initiative for CHYE. The name of our company is Ajax Union. We are a digital marketing agency based in Brooklyn. Our focus is B2B marketing. So we work with companies that have sales teams, companies that have a marketing director, and we assist them with generating leads, taking those leads that are generated and nurturing those leads by educating them and by helping them move them along the funnel, along the pipeline. And then we do something called account-based marketing, where we help you pick your best accounts because everybody knows that not every customer is created equal. We help you pick the most ideal client that will help you be able to grow your business by helping you identify who your target demographic is, who you're actually targeting, that will be the most profitable type of client, and going after those clients proactively. So you can call us kind of like a marketing and sales organization for B2B companies. That's really what we're doing.
That's really awesome. And, I know that over the years, your company has gone through an evolution. You started at one point, and as you grew, you kept on focusing. So maybe let's start there. Maybe let's, for the benefit of our audience, and especially because many of our audience would love to hear how you got started. Let's start from there. How did you first get started with your business? How did you come up with the idea? Give us a little background.
Yeah, so a lot of people ask me how I got started with the business, and it was no accident. I didn't just suddenly fall upon, I'm just going to start this marketing agency. The first step for me was identifying what are the things I love doing? What are the things that I would do for free? And it all revolves around technology. I was always into advertising, but when it came to technology, I was fascinated with technology. So I started learning how to fix computers, how to design websites, how to do graphic design. I started learning those things on my own. I didn't go to school to learn those things. I started doing them on my own. And any job I ever had and anything I ever did, I was always involved in building websites and supporting companies from an IT level. And once I became really good, so good that other people would pay me a significant amount of money per hour to do it for them, what happened was that I started getting clients lining up. And it was just amazing because I wasn't advertising and it was all word of mouth. And eventually it became a business, multiple businesses. And when I found my partner, he helped me kind of focus from going from 7 businesses to 1 business. And as an entrepreneur, as an ideator, when I started to focus, I started to see some major results because I was only able to build businesses that were doing hundreds of thousands of dollars when I wasn't focused. But when I started focusing, I was able to build businesses that were generating millions in revenue. So I completely changed the way that I operate as an entrepreneur by learning how important focus is in the world, in the life of an entrepreneur, where so often that we have idea after idea after idea after idea, and we never cultivate an idea long enough. And I know that I didn't cultivate one specific idea. I didn't want to put all my eggs in one basket. And we never cultivate one idea long enough for it to take off. And we keep changing and pivoting and having a new idea and another idea. So for me, focusing was really, really important. And that's kind of how I took this concept of digital marketing, because if I looked at everything else that I was doing IT services, selling stuff on eBay, I was doing graphic design, I was doing search engine optimization, I was doing a whole bunch of different things. And the one thing that digital marketing had, it was that it was reoccurring revenue, that it was just incredible results for the clients that we were serving. And I really enjoyed reverse engineering the search engines. And that's kind of what search engine optimization is. helping people rank number one on Google. And so that's kind of like the idea. When I found my partner and he was excited about doing it, and I was excited about doing it, and he was helping me focus and teaching me about business, that was really the idea. The idea was, hang on a second, here's a business. Every customer that I speak to wants this. Like every business owner that I speak to wants more traffic, wants more sales, wants more success online. This is something great. And before you know it, I went from having 5 clients to 10 to 20 to 30. And now we've serviced over 1,100 companies since we started our about 8 years ago.
And that should really resonate with so many of our listeners here. So maybe you could share with us, what was your first big challenge you had as you were getting to go, and how did you overcome it?
So when I initially started Ajax Union, I wasn't really focused on search engine optimization. And my big challenge was, this guy wanted business cards, and that guy wanted a website, and this other person wanted some other type of digital marketing. And before you know it, I was like inundated and not focusing on selling one thing. So when somebody asked me what I do, I would say I do everything. I can do anything for you. Like, you tell me what you need, I can do it. But the reality is that you're not good at everything. And when you tell everyone that you can do everything, then they don't know what to hire you for. So my big challenge was, like, how do I pick one thing in my business that I'm going to double down on and focus when I'm giving up opportunity to make money if somebody asks me to do something else for them? And I had to do that. I literally had to give away opportunity in order for me to be able to grow my business. I had to give away growth, a certain type of growth, for another type of growth. So the biggest challenge I had early in my business was really focusing on one thing. Another challenge that I had was trusting other people, because I was brought up to understand that if you're going to tell somebody the secret sauce of your business, they're going to steal your business from you. If you hire a sales rep that's better than you, they're going to do sales for themselves. Why should they do sales for you? But what I quickly learned over time, and after having hundreds of people walk through my doors, is that most human beings are not entrepreneurs. And most people that you're going to hire that are looking for a job, they don't want your business. They say big business, big problems. And so they don't want big problems in their life. They just want to do a task. They just want to do a thing for you. And if you can give them a concrete thing to do, if you can give them a concrete task, whether it's sales, whether it's operations, whether it's finance, whether it's actually executing on the digital marketing, they're not going to want to steal your business. They're not going to want to take your business away, because they don't want to run their own thing. If they had the ability to generate sales, and they had the ability to also execute, and they had the ability to hire and put money together and do all the things that you need to do to run a business, they'd be running a business. But they don't have that ability, so they're looking for a job. They may not even have the interest to do it. Most people don't even have the hunger to grow a business, let alone a large company, a company that has dozens of employees, a company that's doing millions in revenue. Most people don't have the appetite, the desire, the hunger to do that.
So while you're on the subject of that, I know that you've had quite a few young people from the community that have come and joined your company in different positions. What would be your advice if somebody's getting into their first job? What wisdom would you share with them?
The thing that helped me be able to succeed in my jobs, in my life, the thing that helped me most succeed was going all in. A lot of people take a job and then they're kind of like, oh, I'm not going to put all my effort into this job because it's not my company. No, if they're paying you a salary, it is your company. Sometimes you're getting a salary and you're getting more than the CEO is getting, because when they don't have enough money, they don't have enough cash, they're going to cut themselves before they cut you. So put your all into it. Put everything you have, all your ideas, all your time, all your strength, all your energy into supporting that company, and do everything that you can to learn as much as possible about that company, about the industry, about competitors. Immerse yourself in that business. Treat it like it's yours, and eventually you will have your own business. Every company I ever spoke to, that I ever worked for myself, when I spoke to the CEO and I asked them why they hired me as a consultant or as a company when I left, and they said, because you are the most dedicated person we've ever had work for us, ever. So when I was working for the watchery, at the end, I was like, hey, my business Ajax Union is taking off. You know that company I have on the side? They're like, yeah. And I said, well, my partner's telling me that I should come work full time. They could already afford to pay me a 6-figure salary working there. I'm considering leaving, but I really love working here. What should I do? And he got up, gave me a hug, and said, you did so much for this business. I want to be your biggest client, and I want to see you succeed and be your own CEO. So that's the type of relationships I had with my CEOs that I worked for, and the respect that I had for their business, and the amount of effort, energy that I put into it. So if you're working for somebody else, if you're listening to this and you're fortunate enough to have a job and work for somebody else, give everything you have to them, because when you do that, you will be recognized. You will be seen as like an extraordinary person. You know, some bosses might get scared. Some bosses might say, you know what, you're doing more than me. That's scary. Or if there's red tape and you're a larger organization, you don't want to overstep your manager, but you want to empower them and bring them up, while at the same time be able to take yourself to the next level by acquiring the skills that you need to have to be able to run your own business.
Tell me something. What challenges do you have to deal with as a chassid owning a business?
Well, there are a lot of challenges as a chassid, depending on what you consider a chassid and what your values are in general. But as an Orthodox Jew, there are a lot of boundaries that you have to have in business in order for you to keep the values that you have, whether it's, boundaries of physical boundaries or things that you're exposed to, or, I go to a lot of conferences, and sometimes the people that I go to want to go experience things that a chassid really should not be experiencing. And so I have to turn them down, and sometimes I look foolish. There are certain things that people want to do in business that are not they're not necessarily bad things, but they're not according to our tradition and what we stand for. And sometimes people want to take off their yarmulke or want to do things, and I was never compelled to take my beard or my yarmulke off, but I definitely have my set of challenges, and, going to minyan in the morning and making sure that I learn 3 times a day and that I daven 3 times a day properly and that I say a bracha every time I do something. And like all those things become challenging when you're immersed in something else. So it doesn't matter what you're immersed in. Some people are immersed in sports. Other people are immersed in the arts. Some people are immersed in business. It's just like everything else. Once you're immersed in that, if you don't have your values set up correctly, you're going to end up going off the derech very quickly because you're just not giving it attention. They say where your focus goes, energy flows. So if you're not focused on your Yiddishkeit, your energy is not going to that. So if it's important to you, if that's something that you want to keep and to cultivate and to nurture, then you have to make it front and center, and you have to say, well, this is what I'm going to do, and this is how I'm going to do it. And for me, like connecting with the Torah was about laning. So in the past year, I learned how to lane, and I don't know how to lane all the parshiyos, but when I lane, I feel like I'm in the zone. It's kind of like a meditation for me, and that's how I was able to connect with Yiddishkeit, and I only found it at my age, at 37. I only found this concept of laning at 37. I hired a coach, and I started doing that now, and for me, that gives me a tremendous amount of fulfillment when I sit in shul, and I practice for a parsha or something, and I just connect with it. I get into the zone, and it feels really, really good. Am I sometimes thinking about business during davening? Sure. Am I sometimes not focused when I'm trying to learn or when I'm trying to do something? Sure, that happens. That happens as a person that's completely dedicated and immersed to making a living. That's what ends up happening. You end up sacrificing, your mind ends up going somewhere else. And the key is, for me, to just continue on my journey no matter what, because the inner critic will say, well, if you're not perfect, you might as well not do it at all. A guy recently that I was talking to, he didn't want to wear a yarmulke when he was in business events. And he's like, I don't know how you do it, but he's like, I feel out of integrity when I wear a yarmulke at a business event. And I said, why do you feel out of integrity? I said, because when you're wearing a yarmulke, you can't have these machshava zaras. You can't have these strange thoughts, these immodest thoughts about whatever. And I said, you're going to have the immodest thoughts anyway. You might as well wear a yarmulke. Wear a yarmulke. You don't want to have the thoughts. Train your mind to think about other things, but you're going to have these thoughts. These thoughts are going to come to you based on circumstance. And your job, if you want to make it your job, if you have values that you want to push these thoughts away, then work on learning how to control your mind and how to push your thoughts. Don't push your yarmulke away and say, well, if I'm going to be out of integrity, I might as well not have a yarmulke. I might as well not eat kosher. I might as well not keep Shabbos or whatever it is. So for me, as a business owner, as a person that goes around and spends a lot of time with people that are not from or not Jewish in particular, I start seeing the humanity in every single person. So for me, I learned a lot about myself through business. I went to yeshiva all my life, and I learned, but I started learning about values, and I started learning about menschlichkeit, and I started learning about chesed and gratitude and hakaras hatov and all the stuff that I learned in yeshiva, and I have all these words and tools, but business, I believe, got me closer to God in a more meaningful, more intense way, because that's the buck stops there. If you're not successful, if you're not putting your all in business, you're not going to make any money. It's just not going to happen. You're not going to move forward. With Yiddishkeit, you can kind of get away with kind of just doing the do. But in business, it's not, for me, it wasn't the same. I was like, I need to do this. I need to be excited about this. And then I realized, how come I don't have this chayas for Yiddishkeit like I have for business? And I started putting some chayas in other stuff as well. So from one end, it's more challenging. From another end, it helped me tremendously. Does that answer the question?
Yes. And thank you very much for being so frank and sharing like that. That was wonderful. So tell us something. What do you wish someone told you when you were starting up?
What I wish that somebody told me when I was starting up is that I do not need to have any formal education in order for me to be a multimillionaire. That I can read everything in books and I can execute everything by getting the right coach and the right mentors. And I do not need to have a formal education. Like I always thought that if I didn't go to college, I'd never be able to make it in business. That I'd totally be a loser and that I'd be like most poor people who can't afford to go to college. And I was like, I don't really like learning in college. I don't really like reading like textbooks and all that stuff. And I had no idea that if I literally just picked up 20 books on sales, that I'd be great at sales. And I practiced those things that I talked about. If I picked up books on marketing and technology, that I'd be able to be great at marketing and technology and I'd be able to add value to other people's lives. I had no idea that if I developed myself, that if I made my bed every morning, I would have more organizational skills. I didn't know those things. I didn't know how important discipline was mixed with creativity in the right balance. You'll move a lot more forward than just being what they call a Hamishim Chasidishim Malava Malka, as my partner used to say. This is a Chasidishim Malava Malka, and he couldn't take it. He was allergic to Chasidishim Malava Malkas because it was so Hamish and so dripping mit alle, mit the Hamish, right? It was just so dripping. He's like, I can't take the dripping. I can't. It was just so funny because, there's a lot of chaos that goes on specifically in the Hasidic environment, and some people need structure, and specifically creative people need a certain level of organization in order to be able to move forward faster. And I didn't value that. I didn't see that. Like discipline for me, I was like, no discipline. I have to break all the rules. And having a rule to break all the rules, some rules were not meant to be broken and some rules were meant to be broken. You have to have the right balance between keeping some rules and breaking some rules, and you have to be able to understand how to have the discipline. Like, for example, with me, I lost 85 pounds in the past 5 years, and I kept it off. And a lot of it was about how do I understand the rules of how I gain weight and how I lose weight. There are certain rules of physics that if you just chazer out and eat cholent and kugel and all the kishka in the world and don't drink any water and drink 6, 7, 8 Snapples a day like I used to, you're going to gain weight. And you're going to gain a lot of weight, and you're going to be able to be weaker, and your mind's not going to operate well, and you're not going to be able to articulate properly, and you're just not going to be a high-functioning human being. And for me, that's what it was. And sometimes I cringe when I see other people that are where I was because I know how I suffered trying to climb upstairs to go to shul. I literally was suffering every stair that I went to, huffing and puffing. And now I just kind of like go 2 at a time and fly up. And it was all about certain rules that I had to keep and certain rules that I had to break. My mother always taught me that you have to drink orange juice and eat steak in order for you to be strong. But the reality is,
watching you go through that journey, watching you get healthier and healthier, really has been an amazing watch, and really kol hakavod to you for
thank you.
Your awesome
I appreciate you saying that, but the reality is it's all rules. In business, there are certain strategies. You listen to those strategies, you do those rules, you will be successful. Now the question is, do you have the mindset to do it? In business and life, it's 90% your mindset, 10% the mechanics. You have the rules. The rules are all in the book. They're all out there.
While you're on that subject, so then what books would you recommend people should read? And is there someone that you look up to as a role model?
It depends on what you want in life. So, for example, if you want to be able to improve yourself, if you want to be able to have more self-improvement, I would tell you to read the classic self-improvement books like Stephen Covey's 7 Habits of Highly Effective People, or Napoleon Hill's book, Think and Grow Rich, or Dale Carnegie's book, How to Win Friends and Influence People. If you want to improve yourself, read books about self-improvement. If you want to read books, if you want to improve your sales game, read books about sales. There's a guy named Jeffrey Gitomer. He wrote the best-selling sales book of all time called The Little Red Book on Selling. There's Brian Tracy. There's a lot of people out there that write books. Zig Ziglar. There's a lot of people that write books on, like, with their life's journey, everything they've ever learned about a specific profession. So it depends on what you're looking for. If you want to become more organized, read a book called Getting Things Done by David Allen. Like, everyone must read that book. In order to work in my company, it's mandatory reading. You have to read that book, listen to the audiobook, and you take a test to make sure that you understand how to get things done, because our competitive advantage as an agency, as a marketing agency, is that we get things done. We know how to get things done because we actually have a consulting process to how to get a project done. And I know as an entrepreneur, a lot of times, like, I didn't know how to get things done. Like, I had no idea, like, how am I supposed to finish this project? But there's a method to the madness. So if you want to be able to take your life to the next level, for me, it's about how do I read the things that I need to do, but study them also. I was talking to another entrepreneur recently, and he's like, I don't read books, I study books. And that was pretty inspiring. So people that I look up to that have changed the world, somebody that I recently went to go see, his name is Tony Robbins. If you haven't heard of him, go check him out. He's doing really good in the world. He wants to feed 1 billion people. He has 17 companies. He's worth $1 billion. He's done some tremendous stuff, but he's not a from Jew. I look at the standard, every single person that I speak to, whether it's in my show or people around, they all have challenges. And the fact that they're pushing no matter what the challenges are, they continue to push and they continue to grow and they continue to take their life to the next level. For me, that's super inspiring. I get inspired by the average person that has a challenge in their life, and no matter what happens, they're able to push through that challenge and they have the desire to want more in their life. For me, that inspires me. And that's why I have the Breakthrough Maze, which is a podcast where I coach entrepreneurs to help them be able to create 7-figure breakthroughs in their life. And I do it for free, and I record it, and I share it with the world because I get inspired when I see an entrepreneur that's trying to grow themselves, their relationships, their health, their business, taking themselves to the next level, and they have a hard time doing it. And you know what? All of it's around what you think in your head and what you say. Machshava Dibur Umaisa is everything. It's literally everything. Without thought, we have nothing. We don't have anything without any words, without language, you don't have anything. Nothing else exists because we're not aware of the fact that it exists. So we need to realize that if you can really take control of your mind and your heart, like the way you're supposed to when you're wearing tefillin, the whole concept of tefillin to me is about taking control of your mind and your heart and focusing it on one thing, on Hashem. So a lot of people don't realize, like, oh, why am I putting on tefillin every day? Like, this is going to help you in every aspect of your life. When you have this level of focus, this level of intense focus, you're able to accomplish anything in your life. But most people don't know how to get that because they're just so busy living their life and not optimizing their life. Things end up start falling through the wayside. And for me, it's just like, it's like a waste of energy. Like people are just using energy without a strategy. And I learned that energy without a strategy, just moving all over the place, is just a waste. So have a better strategy. Whatever you want to do in your life, have a better strategy and get excited about life. Like figure out what about life excites you. A lot of people are living their life dragging their feet around. And that's not going to be able to influence anybody. Like if you want to influence somebody, if you want to be great at sales or great at developing employees or great at influencing a CEO, be enthusiastic, be excited, be yourself. Does that resonate with you?
Absolutely, absolutely. This has really been a fascinating conversation. I want to just finish off with this. How could people get in touch with you and learn more about you and your business?
So number one is follow me on social media. If you're listening to this, you probably use Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, or whatever. Connect with me, follow me, and allow me to inspire you because that's what I want to do. I want to be able to share information, share knowledge, share my experience with you. So connect with me on Facebook, on Twitter, on LinkedIn, on Instagram. Follow me there. Check out my website, joeapfelbaum.com. If you're interested in learning more about our agency, ajaxunion.com, go check it out. We have awesome webinars all the time, and we have seminars that we do from time to time. So go check out what we're doing. Sign up to our newsletter and connect with me. Like for me, it's like, how can I serve you? How can I add value to your life? A lot of people don't reach out to me because they're like, oh, he's a successful guy. Why would he want to speak to me? And I say the more successful an individual is, the more they want to support you and help you no matter who you are. So realize that if somebody doesn't want to help you, if somebody's afraid of helping you, they're not successful. If they have money, that doesn't mean they're successful. Success means that you're able to contribute to other people and you're able to support other people as well. That's what success is, that you have the confidence and the happiness in yourself to say, you know what, I want to give to other people at this point in my life. I already took enough, and now it's time for me to give back. And most people are not in that zone. And that's the only way you're going to be able to truly have fulfillment in your life. Because what are you really taking with you when you leave this world? What are you really taking with you at the end of the day? You're only taking with you the things that you've done for other people. The things that you've done for other people is really the contribution that you're going to be making in this world. So think about your social circles, and anybody that reaches out to me, if it's not just hey, could you make a donation to blah, 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 I usually answer them and support them. And that's my way of contributing. So the idea is reach out to me, find me. I'm really easy to find. If you search for me on Google, you'll find 178,000 things about me. I'm on dozens and dozens of podcasts every single year. I have hundreds of videos of myself online that I put out. I put out a lot of information out. So go check that stuff out. I'm coming out with a book later this year and just super excited about everything that's going on.
Are you a small business with big aspirations? Are you an exciting startup with an exciting future? Let me introduce you to my friends at Spotlight Design, the preeminent branding and design company serving our community, who are graciously sponsoring this podcast. For 21 years, Spotlight has honed and crafted some of the biggest local brands you know. Your corporate narrative is best designed by the right hands. Spotlight is a comprehensive shop. Instead of going to one place for your logo, another for your ads, another for your website or app, Spotlight does it all with grace in one place with one face. Perfect for both established entities looking to step up their voice and personality, as well as startups looking to start up, way up. Start today at spotlightdesign.com and let them help you master your market and make a first impression that lasts forever. Thank you for listening to the CHYE K-Factor podcast with your host, Rabbi Yehoshua Wordy, director of CHYE. We're looking forward to bringing you more entrepreneurs to share their stories and give you the inspiration to make your K-Lead to take your business aspirations to the next level.